A phase 3 is inevitable, given the high levels of circulating virus.
It's the last thing that any of us want to ever hear after having gone through such a devastating summer. But the reality, folks, is that the third wave will hit us. It's not a question of if, but when. Top epidemiologists are saying that the third wave could strike by November end or December. Others are saying that it could strike as early as 6 to 8 weeks from now. So here's Decoding all about the third wave, and I'm Subhita Karimi. Now, experts suggest that on an average, there's a gap of about 5 to 6 months between two waves, and in most cases, second waves have proved to be 75% worse than the first one. Also, because of seasonal trends, there's an increase in circulation in some months, depending on when a susceptible mass of people gets infected. That usually takes about 5 to 6 months to build up, and that's when an outbreak occurs. This timeline of 5 to 6 months will change if the variant is of concern, just like the Delta one. Now let's understand the reasons why it will strike. Now, the third wave or any other pandemic wave occurs due to a couple of reasons. Number one, multiple variants. Now, viruses mutate, and mutations can either make viruses weaker or stronger. Now, bad COVID protection measures like not wearing a mask, crowding public places give viruses fertile grounds to develop into something more deadly and infectious. And that's precisely what's happened with the Delta variant, which has now mutated into an even virulent strain, the Delta Plus.
Again, the number of variants we will see is really difficult to predict. But we do know that the more a virus spreads, the more opportunities there are for new variants to emerge. New variants could be even more transmissible or could better evade the immune system.
Caseload. Now, viruses mutate due to caseload when there's high circulation of the virus. The more it replicates, the more variants of concern emerge. So, for instance, India pegs the total deaths to be above 4 lakhs when COVID peaked. But if you remember, a report by The Economist pegged deaths to be anywhere between 7 to 12 million. That's 10 times higher than what the official figures claimed. Next up is vaccination rate. Now, whether a wave will turn deadly or not depends on the percentage of people who get vaccinated. Let's take the example of the United States, for instance. Now, the first two waves wreaked havoc from April 2020 to November 2020, but after Feb 2021, as vaccination increased by 34.3%, cases dropped by a massive 71%. As compared to that, India, on the other hand, as of now, has only 3.3% people who are fully vaccinated. We need more than 30% of people vaccinated, or 10 million vaccinations done per day. So, the peak during the third wave does not become critical. Now, similar trends have also been seen in Italy and the United States, where the rate of vaccination has considerably reduced the spread of COVID-19. Now, what also happened with us was that India got massively late to the table as far as procuring vaccines are concerned. The United States, for instance, or if you take European Union in comparison, they had pre-ordered 700 million doses of vaccinations last year itself. Will the third wave be more deadly than the second one? Well, epidemiologists I've spoken to say that it's quite difficult to predict, because typically the virus is expected to get weaker with subsequent waves because of widespread immunity, widespread vaccination rates. But in certain cases, as happened in Delhi, United States, UK, one wave proved to be far worse than the preceding one because of certain mutations that produced the Delta strain. So there is no definitive answer to whether the next wave will be more deadly or not, but let's take a look at how past pandemics have evolved. Now, according to experts, historically, it's only one pandemic that has had multiple waves. The most deadly of them all, that is the Spanish flu, which infected nearly a third of the entire world, had 3 waves, out of which the second wave that happened from mid-September 1918 to December 1918 was the most deadly, with rivers literally clogged with the dead. And the third wave, though, was milder than the second one, but still it was more devastating than the first one. And similar is the case with plague pandemics too, that hit the world from 1300s to 1900s in 3 waves. But since then, epidemiologists say that all flu pandemics have had about 2 waves. However, that does not mean that we take our eyes off the enemy and let it mutate further. So who's at the risk of the next wave? Well, those who are not protected by the vaccine, those who are not infected as yet, and the elderly or the more vulnerable population. Another thing, immunity for the infected reduces over time, and which is why vaccination becomes critical. Well, even though India's principal scientific advisor has claimed that the third wave is inevitable, but it also may be preventable. Everything depends on the caseload and how you minimize that. So how do you minimize that? Well, a couple of things need to be done. Get vaccinated at the earliest available slot possible. Number 2, maintain COVID appropriate measures. I remember earlier this year we got a little reckless. Some of us even stopped wearing masks even. So avoid that. Step out only if you need to. Don't crowd public places. The government needs to put curbs in place wherever needed because peaks for different states and places can happen at different times. Next up is surveillance. Well, there has to be a plan for the third wave. Aggressive testing, closely watching the 7-day moving average and testing the positivity rate. Genome sequencing to watch out for new variants and monitor cases if they increase continuously for 2-3 weeks. Then we need to review and revamp the primary healthcare centers, the taluka hospitals with more beds, more oxygen, more drugs. There has to be enough infrastructure in place. Now, if I'm to quote some figures, according to UNDP, India had only 1 hospital bed for 2,000 people during the second wave. That's terrible. So medicos have to be in place for rural areas where there are very, very few people deployed. Next up is tracking and containment to stop the chain of virus transmission. And now the question that all of us have been wondering since 2020, when will COVID get over? Well, the simple answer is never. Once diseases emerge, they rarely leave except for smallpox, but such success stories are an exception, which is why you have diseases like TB, malaria with us for several millennia. Cholera, for instance, which was a made-up pandemic in 1817, spreads through food and drinking water, is very much endemic in low-income countries. But others like the Spanish flu, which occurred in the early 20th century, is now a seasonal threat. Similarly, Black Death, one of the deadliest outbreaks of the 14th century, returned every decade and gradually died down in the 19th century as a result of changes in temperature, humidity, etc. Similarly, COVID-19 will peter down into an endemic. The end of the virus will begin when 30% of the world's population is vaccinated, and that is expected to happen by the end of this year. While later on it will be just like a seasonal virus like the common cold, according to experts. So the most important thing right now is to make sure that a bump does not turn into a peak, and that is largely dependent on getting vaccinated. So if you want your normal to return soon, get your jab and let me know what you think of this video in the comment section. This is Sumita Karir signing off.